All right, David. I think we can go in.
All right, welcome everyone to a meeting of the Northern Middlesex Metropolitan Planning Organization. I'm David Muller, representing Secretary Jamie Kessler here. Justin, please call the roll.
Okay, Massachusetts Transportation Secretary and CEO of MassDOT, Jamie Tesler.
This is David Muller. I'm here.
Good. MassDOT Highway Administrator, Jonathan Gulliver. Frank, are you representing?
I think Frank's trying to get off mute.
Frank?
Yeah, I think I'm unmuted now.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
so you're representing Jonathan Gulliver?
Frank Szynski, represent Highway Administrator Jonathan Gulliver.
NEMCOG Chair, Andrew Delarter.
Here.
LRTA Board Chair, Tom Bommel. LRTA MPO Representative Kevin O'Connor.
Yeah.
NEMCOG MPO Representative Pat Wilges.
Here.
And Lowell City Council Representative Dan Rourke.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a roll.
Thank you, Justin. What's first on our agenda?
We pull it up here. Okay, first is approval of August 25th, 2021 MPO minutes.
So moved.
Motion from a member and a second to approve the minutes.
Second.
Oh, so moved, Kevin O'Connor.
Second, Pat Wilges.
Thank you. Any comments, changes, questions, or suggestions? Seeing and hearing none, Justin, please call the roll.
David Muller,
Yes.
Frank Szynski,
Yes.
Andrew Delarter,
I'm gonna abstain.
Kevin O'Connor,
Yes.
Pat Wilges,
Yes.
and Dan Rourke.
Yes.
Thank you.
You.
Next is status report on transportation improvement program projects under design and construction.
District 4, whenever you're ready.
Hi, Tim Paris, Mass DOT District 4 Planning. It's changes from last time. We've got project 608297, which is Tewksbury resurfacing and sidewalk reconstruction on Route 38, which the estimates have been revised for that. 605178 Billerica rehabilitation on Boston Road from Billerica Town Center to Floyd Street. Again, the estimates have been revised. 608350 Drake improvements on Nashua Road. The estimates and the tip costs have been revised. 607885 Lowell pedestrian walkway and bicycle connection at Pawtucket Falls Overlook from Vandenberg Esplanade. The tip cost has been revised. 608830 Westford Bridge rehabilitation, Beaverbrook Road over Beaverbrook. We've got revised estimates. 608861 Westford Bridge replacement, revised participating federal cost. 608774 Lowell Tewksbury Route 38 intersection. Again, a revised federal participating construction cost. 609035 Westford rehabilitation of Boston Road, revised estimates as well. 607887 Lowell Rourke Bridge replacement. Wood Street extension over Boston to Main Railroad and Merrimack River. That has revised estimates. 612197 Lowell North Andover Haverhill Bridge superstructure and substructure repairs along I-495. That's gone to 100% design with revised estimates. We have a new project, 612535 Chelmsford, improvements on Route 3A, Princeton Street from Richardson Road to Technology Drive. That was approved at the previous round, and we have new estimates for that. And that is it for the recap for this month.
Thank you, Tim. Any questions for the district?
I have questions.
Go ahead, Justin.
608350 Drake, improvements on Nashua Road. It has an advertisement date of December 18th. Has it been advertised? I just want to confirm.
I will have to look that up. I could probably look it up before the end of the meeting and get back to you. Just to verify, I mean, I would assume it had been, but I've got to double check.
Okay. I think it says on Pinpo it has, but I just want to confirm.
It was advertised on 12/18. Yeah,
Okay.
that's correct.
That's correct. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Any other
And-
questions?
Yes, Kevin O'Connor. I got a question on the Rock Bridge. Is there going to be any more information on the schedule during this hearing? Can Frank speak to that?
Yeah, I
Right.
can, Kevin. I spoke with Steve McLaughlin, the project manager. There should be a notice going out to the working group. There's going to be a working group, a Rock Bridge working group meeting next Thursday. I'm not sure of the time, but that should be coming out today, and they'll be providing an update on the project status as far as the design. I can give you a little detail, like I can give you a little more, but we did settle on alignment 3. That's the skewed alignment that goes to Old Ferry Road as a 4-way intersection. And so the bridge type study report was completed, and they're recommending a steel girded bridge. And so right now they're working on the bike and ped accommodations, working with the stakeholders group to better define the bike and ped accommodations, not only over the bridge, but also at the 2 intersections. So they're looking at the design alignments in vertical for the 2 approach intersections as well. There'll be more to come on that next week, but you should see an invite for that today or tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry,
Yep.
Frank, who is that invitation going to come from?
It's going to come from the project team from the Rock
Okay.
Bridge website, but I think that's still being determined. Steve wasn't sure who was going to hit the button, but it should be going out today or tomorrow.
It just came in the email like 2 minutes ago
Yep, I was about to say the same thing.
as we were speaking.
Justin, can you forward that to me? We've had a number of staffing changes in the DPD, so I just want to make sure we're cities represented.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the district?
Yes, hi, is Frank still there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Hey Frank, Dan Rourke, Lowell City Councilor. So obviously there's been a big, I guess, publicity thing about the Rourke Bridge the past couple of weeks. The major question that a lot of residents have, not just Lowell, Chelmsford, Drake, is why is it not yet on the TIP program? And secondly, the council and surrounding state reps from the areas mentioned before have sent letters to the governor and to our congresswoman for support for the funding. The Congresswoman Trahan's office is saying that they can't get us any federal money until the Rourke Bridge is placed into this transportation improvement program. So, and looking at the ratings of the Rourke Bridge compared to other bridges in the city, it is lower than others. So what necessarily needs to happen to get the Rourke Bridge on into this program?
Yeah, so there's a couple of important steps that need to happen in order to identify the construction funding for the Rourke Bridge. So, and both of those are going to be happening over the next couple of months. So the first step is going to be TIP readiness day. So Mass DOT and the MPO staff are going to be reviewing design readiness and the deliverability of all the projects across the state. So we'll be getting together to look at all the projects that are in design and kind of evaluating those as far as when we believe that the design would be ready to be advertised, and that starts the process for identifying tip readiness days with Mass DOT and the MPOs in a collaboration. The second important step is the STIP development. That's development of the statewide transportation improvement program for the Commonwealth, and that is also going to be part of. First, we do the readiness assessment with the MPOs, and then we will be going and meeting again with MPO staff and evaluating design readiness, the recommended advertising years based on that assessment, and then also looking at the available funding for the upcoming federal fiscal years 2023 through 2027. It's going to be the 5-year step. So we'll be looking to program those projects that we think can be ready for certain years, depending on the availability of not only target funding for the region, but for the programs that MassDOT also is responsible for the program management.
So
that
does
should
100
be
million,
concluding.
sorry, go ahead.
So based on those discussions, in availability, for readiness and availability of funds for those particular years, that's how we will develop the STIP, and that's when we'll know if there's federal funding available for the Rourke Bridge.
So you can't put the bridge on into the program until the federal funding is available?
Well, currently, right now, we're working off the 2022 to 2026 STIP, which identifies all the federal funding over that 5-year period. Now, transitioning out of 2022, we're going to build the next 5-year TIP program. So that's when we reevaluate all the projects that are in the current TIP, but also new projects or projects that are in design that we want to identify when we believe those projects are most likely be ready to be advertised. That gets them into the conversation for each TIP year to look at the federal funding and redistribute those funds over the projects based on readiness and available funding. We do this every year.
I get it. So having a conversation, like I said before, with the Congresswoman's office, and also talking this morning with Governor Baker's office, they have both said that until the Rourke Bridge gets placed into this program, the $100 million bond bill that's sitting on a governor's desk, and also funding from the federal program, the $1 billion infrastructure bill, is that money just being held up because the Rourke Bridge is not into this program as of yet?
So if I could just add in here, I've also had conversations with the Congresswoman's office on this project. And basically, I have been told that the infrastructure funds cannot be dedicated to this project until it is on the STIP. And
It's
they
exactly the
tried.
same thing, Bill.
Yeah, so the issue here is that we've been told that this is going to be design build. And I'm looking back to other projects that were done that way, like the Route 3 widening project, where it was done not only as design build finance, but also with AC. So, committing future year funds. And given that the TIP covers, or the STIP covers a 5-year period, it would seem to me that the point of doing design build, or so we've been told, is to really expedite this process. It would seem that this project should be on the STIP, even if it's not in, the first 2 years of the STIP, somewhere in that 5-year period, because the intent, at least we're being told, the intent is to start construction within that time frame. So it would, seem logical and apparent to me that this needs to be here somewhere. And as you all know, we don't have the target funds for this. It's much too large of a project. We'd be spending the next 16 years of our TIP on this one project. So this is probably going to have to be a state project and through the bridge program. And MassDOT is the one that establishes those priorities, not us. So You know, typically we're handed a bridge list and it says these are the bridge projects, and I would expect that going forward, that will still continue to be the case. So I sort of feel like the ball is in MassDOT's court at this point.
So Frank, you want me to try to help?
Yeah,
Yes,
thanks, Dave.
yes, absolutely, Beverly, 100% correct. So the bridge list will be developed by MassDOT. That bridge list will be developed over the course of January to February to March, let's say. That's my best estimate. It could be April, but by the time we put together draft tips, we will have a bridge list that fully programs all of the new federal funding. Okay. We are in the process of prioritizing all of the bridges within the Commonwealth for that funding. We are very mindful of Worth Bridge and its position in that priority list. We do not have a list yet. We cannot guarantee it will get funded, but it is in the mix and we are actively considering funding all sorts of projects. But yes, the MPO itself will not fund the Worth Bridge. It's $169 million.
Right, I don't think that's the question, right? The question, David, would be just getting into this program so the state and federal money that is gonna come to get this bridge completed is, I guess, allowed, released, however you want to say it, right? So,
Right, so
you know, with any confidence, come March of this year, the Rourke Bridge will be in this program?
So I'm confident by March of this year, you will know whether the Work Bridge is in this program or not. Okay?
All right,
Am
so
I confident it'll be in the
understanding,
program? I don't, you know, the list is being developed, so I cannot at this time guarantee that the Work Bridge will be funded in the upcoming STIP.
okay, so if
But
Mass
I
DOT
don't-
know, right,
but we are mindful of how important it is to the region and just in general. We understand the issue. We're trying to put together a bridge list. The entire bridge program over 5 years, new money is $1 billion, billion two maybe, right? They haven't actually released the first year's money yet. So we don't even know if we're actually going to get all of that money. But we are mindful that it's really important and we know it and we're trying to figure it out. We will have a defined list in the next 2 or 3 months.
so
And
would you
We
agree
never have a
that,
discussion of the bridge program without considering Rourke Bridge and mentioning Rourke Bridge. We are
So
trying to
I-
make it work.
just ask another question? So if the governor has $100 million, right, waiting for just the Rourke Bridge,
Right, but so that's not true, okay?
Okay.
There's a $100 million bond bill.
right?
The bond bill has billions of dollars of projects. The bond cap is way less than that. So there's not $100 million worth of money, there's $100 million worth of authorization.
Right.
If the Rourke Bridge, Frank, the Rourke Bridge is not going to be implemented unless we put federal money towards it. If we put federal money towards it, we need 25% of the cost out of that bond bill earmark, okay? The bond bill is not money, it's authorization to spend money. And we will spend that money if we can figure out a way to get the Rourke Bridge program with the federal funds.
David,
All
I
right,
have a
so
question.
Wait a minute,
Sorry.
Christina, let Dan go first and I will come back.
no,
We will talk
so-
about this as long as people want to.
right, that's
Dan,
fine.
go ahead.
Right, so the governor's office and Congressman Trahan's office is telling us they can't do anything until it's in this TIP program. Is that true?
Right, so yes, the bridge has to be programmed in the STIP. But it's not, so Congresswoman Trahan's office has done a lot already, right? They actively work to get bill passed. They're actively talking to us every chance they get about how important this project is to them and to the region that she represents. So it's not like there's a process. The money, there's money there. There's $1 billion, there's $1 billion worth of authorization that we have to get an appropriations bill to fund. But there's money that supposedly is going to come from the federal government to Massachusetts for bridges. They made an announcement, I think, the week before last, about how there's 472 quote unquote poor bridges in the Commonwealth, and this money will fund repairs on many of them. Okay. So that money has to be programmed in the STIP in order to be spent. That's what everybody means when they say, we can't do anything until it gets in the STIP. To Beverly's point, it's not the MPO's job to put a $169 million project in the STIP. That is MassDOT's job. We are working on that right now, trying to figure out which bridge projects, and there is more than $1 billion worth of bridge need in the Commonwealth, which bridge projects will actually get funded with the money. And again, I don't want to, it's easy to make promises and I don't want to make a promise, but I don't know what, I don't know how to say this. I can keep saying this over and over. We never have a discussion about the bridge priorities that we don't mention Warwick Bridge. We are actively trying to figure out how to make this happen, but I can't guarantee it's going to happen because there's all sorts of bridge needs all across the Commonwealth. But, you know, we are mindful of this issue. I can't tell anybody anything until we have a list.
So David, this kind of ties into my question. So my name is Christine McCall, I'm the DPD director here in Lowell. I understand we can't put it on the STIP until MassDOT comes up with their bridge list. Obviously, the city of Lowell has a history with MassDOT and bridges, obviously the Tiger Bridge project. What can we do from now until March to ensure that the Rourke Bridge, what information do you need from us to ensure that the Rourke Bridge, I mean, I know you can't make any promises or guarantees to us that it will be on the priority list, but what information can we provide to you to further our argument as to why it absolutely needs to be on this list when you release it in March, so that it can get on the STIP, so that we can release that bond bill, so that we can get federal funding to actually do this project?
Right. So I don't think there's anything you need to do, because honestly, I mean, of course you can do what, you know, you can continue to agitate's the wrong word, but I can't think of the word. You can continue to do all of that agitation, right? But I don't want to, you know, you don't have to, okay?
Sure.
We get it, okay? We do. But that, we don't need any information from you, right? If you want to keep beating the drums so that every time we talk about a bridge list, people who aren't in the room remind us, hey, don't forget the Rourke Bridge. That is perfectly all right and acceptable, and that's how this process works. But you don't have to, because we all internally have that discussion already, okay? But we don't need any information. You know, everyone should continue to attend Steve McLaughlin's working groups. Everyone should be making sure that the project that's being designed and built is the appropriate project, right? But for actual, hey, it's a priority, we understand it's a priority.
Derek?
Thank you. I just wanted to chime in about, not to steal your thunder, Justin, for the TIP development timelines and UPWP development timelines for the rest of the spring, but the 23 to 27 SIP development is happening over the next few months. So to Dan's primary question on how do you get on the TIP and when, or why this project is not on the STIP now, a year ago, it was not in a place with design readiness in order to be put onto the document. That's onto the program. That's part A. Part B, as Frank was explaining, was that the STIP is a fiscally constrained document. So there's a difference between having a ready project to put on the STIP and the funding to make it happen. Even if you do AC it, you need to identify the when on that. So the fortunate news is that in the coming weeks, MassDOT and MPO staff from all MPOs across the Commonwealth will be meeting to discuss the readiness of projects, what progress has been made on Rourke Bridge design over the last year. If it's in a place today where we feel confident that it will be deliverable to advertise for construction over the 23 to 27 period, we will make a recommendation to advertise it at that point. The next part and the harder part is the assessment on whether or not we have the bridge funding availability in our program to fund it and when. So we will have a lot more information at the February MPO meeting on our findings from readiness days. So those of you that are interested on the status of the Rourke Bridge and other regional projects of interest should definitely attend next month's MPO meeting for information in that regard. And also attend the meeting that Frank mentioned is happening next week on the design status in case there's any hiccups or hangups with, you know, permitting delays or right-of-way concerns or any other host of issues that could come up with the project. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. So Beverly, every city and town, Lowell included, has pretty much suggested option 3, correct?
Yes.
Correct. And that was the alternative that was preferred by the neighborhood
Yep.
and by the communities. And I think from the work that MassDOT has done so far on, you know, sort of preliminary design and feasibility analysis and their traffic analysis, MassDOT has bought into that as the preferred alternative at this point.
All right, and the last question I'll ask is this. So that February meeting, would that be open to the public? The MPO meeting?
Yes, yes. All MPO meetings are open to the public. And we take public comment.
Sounds good. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other questions on this or any other district item before we go on to the next item on the agenda? Seeing none, what's next on the agenda, Justin?
Next item on the agenda, well, open forum, opportunity for comments from MPO members, community stakeholders, and the public. So if anybody has anything else to discuss.
Any other comments from the public at this time or MPO members? Seeing and hearing none. If you have some during the meeting, please let us know and we'll call on you. So Justin, you got to, that's
Can
too
you not
small for
read
me to
this?
see, so what's next?
I can zoom in. Is that better? So the next agenda item is federal fiscal year 2021 annual listing of obligated projects. So this is a report that we put out at the end of each year, and it's an effort to basically show transparency in how we spend our federal transportation dollars. So the MPO is required to publish annually at the end of the calendar year, 90 days after the end of the federal fiscal year, a listing of all federal obligations over the previous federal fiscal year, which ends in the end of September. So we need to have it posted to our website by the end of December. And so this report follows the programming of the first year of the previous TIP, which was federal fiscal year 2021 to 2025. So this outlines those projects that were obligated in 2021. So this report, you know, is really intended to just to assist and help the public basically understand how our federal funds are spent. And so we've been working with, we work with MassDOT, we work with the LRTA, Federal Highway, and FTA partners to compile all the information, and we provide it in accordance basically with our public participation plan. And I just want to go over with a spinning with you real quickly here. So federal fiscal year 21 ended September 30th of last year. Over $14 million were obligated over 14 projects in the region. $7.9 million in highway obligations for 3 projects. Those 3 being the Route 38 resurfacing project in Tewksbury, Main Street improvements in Dunstable, and the Merrimack Riverwalk extension project in Lowell. On the transit side, funding was obligated for multiple projects, you know, just over $6.2 million. And those include purchases of vans, purchases of new buses, passenger counters, and obligation for bus lifts, which we'll be talking about as part of a TIP amendment in a few minutes. So basically, this is just an informational report. It's been posted to our website as required, and there's no real action to be taken on this. It's just purely informational. And if anyone has any questions on this, I can take them.
Thank you, Justin. Any questions for Justin?
And this is a list of projects.
Seeing and hearing none. Justin, what's next?
Okay. Performance management updates. It's a potential action to endorse. We'll start with the updated to our highway safety targets.
Is that me, Justin?
That's you, Derek. Do you need me to run a PowerPoint or?
I have it, and sorry. Yes, I have it ready. I just can't share my screen at the moment.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Says host disabled participant. Oh, there we go.
Yep, go ahead.
All right, can everyone see this okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. So, one moment. In 2016, Federal Highway Administration passed a rule establishing 3 performance measures, PMs 1, 2, and 3, that state DOTs, MPOs, and MPOs must track as required by MAP 21 and the FAST Act. Today, we're going to look at the 5 PM1 targets for improving safety. The PM1 targets include looking at the 5-year average of total fatalities, the rate of fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, the 5-year average of serious injuries, the rate of serious injuries per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, and the combined non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. What I'm going to show you first is the state data, as well as, or the state targets, as well as the regional look for Northern Middlesex Regional's targets. I apologize for the pixelation on the title there, but this first table is showing our 5-year average of total fatalities. The 5-year average in 2017 to 21 was 344 fatalities, with a fatality rate of 0.56. And we're projecting a target for 18 to calendar year 2022 of 0.56, with a decline in fatalities to 340. I did want to note that due to reduced vehicle miles traveled related to the pandemic, 2020 data was disregarded given the unique circumstances surrounding data from that year. In calendar year 22, projections are based on a 2.5% reduction in fatalities from calendar year 2021. Looking at total serious injuries, the state's projected targets for 17 to 21 were a reduction in incapacitating injuries to 2,542 injuries. And then for 18 to 2022 was a decline to 2,504 incapacitating injuries, and an injury rate target set from 18 to 22 to 4.11 out of every 100 million vehicle miles traveled, a reduction of 0.06 from the previous 5-year period. Due to unpredictable fluctuations between 2019 and 2020 data and an overall decreasing trend line, a 3% reduction in annual serious injuries from 18 to 21 and a 4% annual reduction from 21 to 22 were assumed for calculating the calendar year 2022 target. Finally, the non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries chart. We are projecting a target of 471 combined injuries and fatalities for calendar year 2022, a drop of 4 from the previous projected 5-year rolling average of 475. To protect the non-motorist fatality and serious injuries for 2022, a 2% reduction was estimated. And overall, this translated to a 2022 5-year average of 471 for this combined statistic. This chart just summarizes the 2021 rolling average information followed by our 2022 targets that I just explained. And then more specifically for the Northern Middlesex region, this is a look at the regional data per year. I believe Justin has prepared some region-specific information though. Is that right, Justin?
And it's just the same as this table. I did have one question for you, Derek.
Yeah.
I know it's small, but the 2022 target for fatalities and fatality rates are higher than our last year, our current targets, or 2021 targets
For Northern Middlesex or for the state?
for the state. The targets that we adopted last year.
Right. I believe that was because of a change in the look at 2020 data. And there was a change in 2021 fatalities due to increased speed on roadways that may have impacted some of those actuals, thus affecting the 2022 targets.
Did you use 2020 targets or did 2020 data in development of these targets? Just because I know that fatalities increased during the pandemic. So.
They did. It's the target that was reduced.
Okay.
With that said, we have a requirement for all MPOs to either endorse MassDOT safety targets or establish their own region-specific targets by the end of February 2022, as required by Federal Highway Administration. So today we are looking for a vote to endorse MassDOT's target signals that we're looking for a vote for MassDOT's target safety targets by this body.
Good. Are there any questions? Seeing none, can I get a motion in a second from a member to adopt the MassDOT safety targets for use in the Northern Middlesex MPO region?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, that Wojcik.
Motion having been made and seconded, please call the roll, Justin.
Okay, for highway safety performance targets, David Mueller,
Yes.
Frank Szynski,
Yes.
Andrew Deloyer,
Yes.
Kevin O'Connor,
Yes.
Pat Wojcik,
Yes,
and Dan Rourke.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, Justin.
We're still on this agenda item. We're moving on to LRTA. Pull this up. Updated LRTA transit asset management targets. So this Ally.
Okay, so on here, so we set targets by asset class. So looking at the rolling stock, the performance measure is based on age, and the target is the percent of the vehicles that have met or exceeded their useful life benchmarks. So we have three kind of sub asset types within our rolling stock, which are the buses that are, our 30 and 35 foot buses. So our fiscal 21 target was 10%, and our 21 performance was actually 5%. So we met our target, and our 22 target will be that 5%. For the cutaways, which includes our smaller fixed route buses, as well as our paratransit, mini buses, our 21 target was 35%. Our actual performance, sorry, I have this backwards, it was 40%. I need to actually confirm that target, Justin. I think the actual number was 35% for our performance there. Because we did meet, I know that we did meet it, and we set that 35% target going forward. In minivans, we had a 0% target for 21, which we met, and we'll keep that 0% target going forward. And again, that's based on the age, and particularly on the cutaways. You'll see that the numbers are a little bit higher there because it's based on the age. Generally, the condition of the vehicles is still good. We go, part of this is actually going through and doing an assessment of, each component of the vehicle, but we're required to set the target based on age. For equipment, so service automobiles, our 21 target was 33%. Our performance was 33%. So we met the target and we'll keep that target going forward. For trucks, our target was 67%, and we did not meet that target. Our performance was 75%. And this was actually just kind of the way the timing of a replacement went. So we were procuring a new service truck with a plow, and we took the previous one off of the road. It was kind of happened at the end of the fiscal year. So the number of trucks actually in the service fleet reduced. And so that's why that number, our performance actually went up a little. The replacement truck actually didn't arrive and get put in service until the new fiscal year. So that's just a kind of a misleading jump. So that's why that we didn't hit our target there. And we'll keep the 75% target going forward because we have to set it based on the number of vehicles in the fleet at the time of us doing the report. Maintenance equipment and facilities equipment. So I just have these noted that, we don't report those to FTA through the NTD report, but internally we do set our targets. So for our maintenance equipment, and again, these are based on age. We had our 63% for our fiscal 21 target, and we met that. And we'll be replacing equipment in 22. So we set our target down to 0. We'll be replacing the aged bus lifts. And our facilities equipment, our 21 target, again, based on age was 0, which we met, and we'll keep that target going forward. For facilities, these are, instead of using age, the performance measure is actually based on the condition. So we go through the facilities and go through each component, the structure, electrical, HVAC equipment, elevators, things like that. So our passenger and parking facilities, as well as our maintenance and administration facilities, we're all at 0%, below a 3 on the FTA's term scale for rating the condition. We met that performance target, and we'll keep that 0% target going forward.
Thank you. Questions from the NPO?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Can you just go over that scale on the facilities in terms of like what's a 0 versus 3? I'm just curious.
Yep. So a 5 is excellent condition, new condition. 4 is good. 3 is adequate. 2 is marginal, and 1 is poor condition. So we actually have our team, go through the facilities, like I said, break it down by component, and they rate each of those components on a weighted scale. So for example, if we had, 3 elevators, 2 of them may have been maybe in, good condition, 1 in poor, that's weighted toward the total score. And we use a median of all the components to generate a final score for the facility. So both of our all of our facilities were above, at a 3 or above. So that's why our targets and our performance is 0.
Is that scoring broken out by facility? Is that something you could share? Maybe I missed the attachment, but.
So I don't have, that's something that I can share with Justin. And, if he wants to distribute, I have the backup for that. But so we have, the way that we're required to report it is they're grouped together. So our passenger parking facilities are one target, and our maintenance administration buildings are another. But we do rate each facility independently.
Okay, so you would be able to see like the North Berwick, train station parking lot. You could see the scoring of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not actually in our assets anymore. We no longer manage that, but for our facilities here, there's an individual score for each separate facility.
Okay, thank you.
And it's the same for all the assets. So same thing for the buses, same things for the equipment. But the target is based on the class as a whole.
All right, thanks so much.
Other questions? Justin, is this an action item? Do we need to vote this?
Yes, sir. We need to have
Okay,
the
can I
MPO
get a
adopt.
motion and a second to approve the targets as presented today? And please state your name for the record when making the motion.
So moved, Andrew Delorier.
Thank you. Is there a
Second.
second?
Second, Dan Rourke.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Justin, please call the roll.
Excuse me. Okay, to adopt updated transit asset management plan performance measures targets. David Muller,
Yes.
Frank Szynski,
Yes,
Andrew Delorier,
Yes.
Kevin O'Connor,
Yes,
Pat Wojcik,
Yes.
and Dan Rourke.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, Justin?
Next item is federal fiscal year 2022 to 2026 tip amendment. Number one.
And who's presenting this?
I am presenting it. Let me find it here.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody can see this. So we had a little change since I sent the amendment out last week. We added a second project to this amendment. So on your screen, summary of proposed federal fiscal year 2022 to 2026 tip amendment number one. So we are now in our current tip. We talked about the old tip earlier. We're in the current one now. So this involves two projects. One, we need to program a cost estimate increase for rehabilitation of the Beaver Brook Bridge over the Beaver Brook in Westford, and as well as funding changes for the purchase of LRTA bus lifts. And I'll go over each one of those. So the Beaver Brook Bridge project is currently final design and scheduled for a construction advertisement in July. And with the latest design updates, there were new cost estimates, and the project has increased by $531,567. Thus, we need to amend the tip to ensure that the project is fully funded so we can construct it. So new project cost, $2.5 million. And for those of you not aware of the project itself, it's basically, the project includes replacing some deteriorated culverts carrying the Beaver Brook Road over the Beaver Brook. So we're going to replace this old bridge that's basically a culvert bridge with a concrete bridge structure. So that's the first project. The second part of the amendment involves a cost increase and funding source change for the purchase of 5 bus lifts for the LRTA. So currently the cost is in our current tip. Let me scroll down here and see this. So our current programming in the tip, the total is $300,000, 80% funded federally, 20% funded by the state. The proposal is to remove the federal piece and fund it completely with state funds and increase the cost from $300,000 to $350,000. So that is the amendment summary. If there's any questions before we look to vote, I will take them.
Any questions for Justin? Seeing none, Justin, is this a release or an adoption?
We are releasing this amendment in draft form.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and a second from a member to release this tip amendment as discussed today?
So moved, Andrew Delorier.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Justin, please call the roll.
Okay, so we're gonna vote to release this amendment for 21 days and public review and comment period. David Muller,
Yes.
Frank Szynski,
yes,
Andrew Delorier,
Aye.
Kevin O'Connor,
yes,
Pat Wojcik,
Yes.
and Dan Rourke.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna schedule a virtual public meeting to hear any comments on this. Looks like February 8th in the early evening. So people can attend that, or I accept any comments by email or by mail, or you can call me. So that is that.
Thank you, Justin. What's next on our agenda?
On the agenda. Federal fiscal year 2023 Unified Planning Work Program and federal fiscal year 2023 to 2027 TIP development schedules.
Is this you, Justin?
That is me. And we've talked about this some, so I may be repeating ourselves. I sent out with the MPO meeting announcement, I include this schedule of activities for development of our next TIP and UPWP. So I'm going to start with this. I'm going to start with the TIP schedule. It's January, so we are beginning to ramp up efforts to develop our next TIP, which is federal fiscal year 2023 through 2027. So on the screen, preliminary schedule of activities from now until the end of May, when the MPO considers endorsement of the next TIP, which will go into effect October 1st, superseding our current TIP. So it starts with this month. It's kind of a kickoff of the development. This Friday will be a joint meeting of Massachusetts Association of Regional Planning Agencies Group and Mass DOT, where guidance on development of the TIP as well as financial information will be provided to the staff. And I'll provide a more detailed view of that guidance and financial information at our February MPO meeting. So moving on to February, in addition to reviewing the financial information, we begin an evaluation of our current program projects, as well as an evaluation of newer projects that are currently not programmed on the TIP. So, and we talked about this earlier, on February 9th, staff will meet with MassDOT to discuss the project status and recommendations on programming years. And it's a meeting we call TIP Readiness Day. And it was discussed earlier in this meeting in regards to the Rourke Bridge. And Rourke Bridge will be on the agenda at that meeting. So once that's done, in March, we discussed earlier, MassDOT provides a list of projects funded using state programs, and that includes their bridge program. And these are projects that are outside of our target and not subject to regional financial constraints. With that in place, so we have our state programs, our state projects, we have our recommendations for our target projects. Staff will bring multiple scenarios to the MPO to consider a preferred alternative, and that happens at the March MPO meeting. So once we get that preferred scenario in place, we can write up the draft document, and that will be presented to the MPO in April. And at that meeting, MPO members will consider releasing the draft TIP for a 21-day public comment period. And at that point, it leads us into May, where staff will host a public meeting to hear any comments. And in response to any comments that have come in, we will edit the document, finalize it, and we will present it to the MPO with the comments for consideration to endorse the next TIP, and that occurs at the May MPO meeting. And once that's endorsed by the MPO, staff will distribute it to our federal and our state partners to go through their approval process. And if everything goes correctly, we will have this next TIP go into effect October 1st of this year. So I want to stop there. And before we move on to UPWP, are there any questions on that?
Any questions for Justin on the TIP schedule? Seeing none, Justin, go to the UPWP.
Excuse me. So the development schedule of the next UPWP or Unified Planning Work Program. It's for federal fiscal year 2023. It follows a similar path to that I just discussed in the tip. So just like the tip, this month is the beginning of the process where we announce the schedule. And at Friday's meeting, we will get more guidance and financial information from our federal and state partners. So once we receive all that, I'll be presenting that to the MPO in February for their consideration. We're also in February, we'll also begin reaching out to communities to gather any ideas or thoughts on potential studies that our staff may assist on and include in the work program for the next year. And one of the big projects that we know that will be included is an update to our regional transportation plan, which is our long-term plan, goes out to 2045. And that's a big effort for staff. And you'll be hearing a lot more about that in upcoming months. So April, we will provide a potential set of UPWP tasks and the budget for each of those tasks to the MPO for their review. And once the MPO approves that task and budget list, staff will prepare the UPWP document. We'll present it to the MPO in May for consideration to vote for a public comment period. And in June, we'll take all the comments received from that and present it to the MPO to finalize the fiscal year 23 UPWP. And at that point, we'll distribute it to our partners. And if everything goes correctly, goes into effect October 1st of this year. So if there are any questions on that.
Any questions for Justin on the UPWP schedule? Seeing and hearing none, I believe the next item on our agenda is other business. Is that right, Justin?
That is correct.
Is there any other business to come before the MPO at this time? So Justin, when's our, oh, you got one, Justin? Go ahead.
Yeah. I have one announcement for anyone who doesn't know. This is Beverly Wood's last MPO meeting. I just wanted to thank her for all of her work. It's unbelievable what she has done over the years.
Oh my God, I'm shocked. I will miss you so much. It's been great working with you.
The same here, and I'll let you all know how wonderful retirement is in a couple weeks. So
Congratulations, Beverly.
thank you.
And from what I hear, Connie Raphael is loving retirement.
Good to know. It'll be a big adjustment for me. So I think it'll take a while to get used to.
Overdue and well-deserved.
Thank you.
Any other business? Seeing none, can I get a motion in a second to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Andrew Deloria.
Thank you. Is there a second?
So moved.
Motion having been made and seconded without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much. Bye, everybody. See you next
Thank
month.
you.
Thank you.
Later.